Hello, you're watching New Vision TV. This is news around East Africa. My name is Lynn Komjisha. We start off with the news coming in from Kenya. The Meteorological Department has warned that more heavy rains, which will be accompanied by strong offshore winds resulting in storm surge in the Indian Ocean, will hit the coast region. Fishermen, beachgoers, and players in the marine sector have been asked to be on high alert. The county director of Meteorological, Edward Ngure, said that flash floods might occur in low-lying areas, places with clogged drainage, and those with unfilled and abandoned quarries. News coming in from Uganda. Police is investigating the cause of a boat accident where a boat capsized on Lake Albert, drowning over 50 people. They were moving from Fosso landing site to Olunga in Hoima for a football match. Over 32 people managed to swim while others were helped and they survived, according to the police public relations officer Fred Enanga. Enanga says that the dead are between 12 and 16. Yesterday and today, they have managed to retrieve 7 bodies and the search for other bodies is still going on. In Rwanda, several experts and educators from across the continent are meeting in Kigali to discuss how to equip African youth with the necessary digital skills to compete on the global landscape. The meeting started Monday under the banner of the Partnership for Skills in Applied Sciences, Engineering and Technology, and has brought together officials from Rwanda, the World Bank, and other experts from various parts of the world. You're still watching New Vision TV. We take a look at what's making headlines around the world. We start off with Africa. DR Congo, former Governor Moise Katumbi has returned home to his support base in Lubumbashi, the Democratic Republic of Congo's second biggest city. He was once thought to be a challenger to then-President Joseph Kabila, but the two had a falling out, and Katumbi was convicted of property fraud. But now the owner of one of Africa's biggest football clubs is back, with his supporters ready to welcome him home. In Ethiopia has started to ration electricity for domestic and industrial customers after a drop in water levels in hydroelectric dams led to a production deficit. The drop in water levels of the country's Jaib 3 dam had led to a deficit of 476 megawatts. Saleshi told a news conference more than a third of the country's electricity generation of 1,400 megawatts. Ethiopia has also suspended electricity exports to neighboring Djibouti and Sudan, which earns the country $82 million a year. News coming in from Sweden. The Swedish prosecutor heading an investigation into a rape allegation against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange filed a request with the local court Monday for him to be detained in absentia. If granted, the court order would be the first step in a process to have Assange extradited from Britain, where he's serving a 50-week sentence for skipping bail. Sweden reopened the rape investigation last week. It was begun in 2010 but dropped in 2017 after Assange took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Assange, who denies the accusation, was arrested in London last month after spending 7 years inside the embassy. She said she would issue a European arrest warrant for Assange to be surrendered to Sweden if the court decided to detain him. Sweden's decision to reopen the rape investigation cast doubt on where Assange may eventually end up, with US authorities already seeking his extradition over conspiracy charges relating to one of the biggest ever leaks of classified information. In the USA, just days after saying he was prepared for talks, United States President Donald Trump has issued a direct threat to Iran, suggesting that the Islamic Republic be destroyed if it attacks his country's interests. The confrontational post follows last week's attacks on Saudi oil assets and the firing of a rocket on Sunday into the heavily fortified green zone in Iraq's capital, Baghdad, an area housing many government buildings and embassies. The Iraqi military said there were no casualties in the rocket attack there's been no claim of responsibility. Now, amid escalating tension with Iran, Washington earlier this month dispatched to the region an aircraft carrier and B-52 bombers, as well as an amphibious assault ship and a Patriot missile battery. News from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Energy Minister Khalid said Sunday there was consensus among OPEC and allied producers to drive down crude inventories gently, but his country would remain responsive to the needs of what he called a fragile market. Khalid said a possible rollover in the second half of 2019 of output curbs agreed by OPEC and non-members was the main option discussed at a ministerial panel meeting during the day, but things can change by June. OPEC, Russia, and other non-member producers, an alliance known as OPEC Plus, agreed to reduce output by 1.2 million barrels per day from January. Russian Energy Minister Alexander Novak earlier said an easing of cuts had been discussed and the supply situation would be clearer in a month, including the countries under sanctions. And that was news around East Africa and around the world. Thank you for watching.